The first thing she tasted was blood. It slid warm across her tongue as she staggered into the alley's light, one hand pressed against her ribs, breath shivering in her chest. A bottle shattered behind her. Not by accident. A warning. She didn't look back. Looking back meant slowing down, and slowing down meant the man who'd chased her here would finally catch what he was owed. Her debt. Her mistake. Her brother's ghost tightening around her throat. She shoved forward, until a shadow stepped into her path, tall enough and still enough to freeze her breath. Not her pursuer. Someone worse. Lorenzo De Vero. The man half the city feared more than the police, debt collectors, or death itself. His tailored suit didn't belong in an alley like this, but the danger in his eyes did. Cold. Zach. Watching her like she'd wandered into his crosshairs. He didn't speak. Silence stretched, heavy, assessing, sharp enough to raise the hairs on her arms. Her heartbeat kicked. Once. Hard. She swallowed. I'll move. I just need to. Footsteps echoed at the mouth of the alley. Her pursuer. Her ribs tightened. Lorenzo's gaze flicked past her, registering the sound. A single subtle cue. His jaw tightening. A sign of annoyance. Or interest. She couldn't tell. She'd never been this close to him before. Only heard whispers. CEO of the De Vero Syndicate. Dangerous even when he's merciful. Never forget his name. A name tied to the night her brother died. She didn't know that not yet. But she felt an instinctive pull between fear and something darker. Something that made her take one step back and another step closer at the same time. The footsteps grew louder. Please, she breathed. She didn't know what she was asking him for. Help. Silence. A miracle. He gave none. Instead, he reached into his coat. Not fast. Not threatening. Just controlled. The metallic click of his gun's safety sliding off cracked the alley's air like a sound meant only for danger. Her breath stilled. The man chasing her appeared, saw Lorenzo, and stopped so abruptly his shoes scraped the concrete. Lorenzo turned his head slightly. Leave. One word. Cold. Final. The man fled. Silence fell again. Worse than before. She felt it pressing between them as Lorenzo lowered the weapon but didn't put it away. His eyes drifted to the blood at her side, and something unreadable shifted. She didn't know it yet, but this was the moment her life rerouted. His next words were quiet, dangerous, decisive. You're coming with me. The alley held its breath, and so did she. She didn't remember moving, only his hand closing around her wrist, steady but unyielding, as he guided her out of the alley and toward the sleek black car waiting at the curb. The night felt colder now. Or maybe it was just that he wasn't speaking. Lorenzo opened the back door and nodded for her to get in. Not a question. Not a threat. Something in between. Something she couldn't name yet. She hesitated. His eyes narrowed a fraction. His first crack in control. You're bleeding. Her breath caught. Intimate moment. Not by touch but by notice. She climbed inside. The leather seat pressed against her back as he slid in beside her, shutting the door with a muted thud. The city noise vanished instantly, replaced by the soft hum of the engine. False safety. A bubble she didn't trust. He handed her a folded cloth. Press this to your ribs. She did. Her fingers trembled. Not from pain. From him. He watched her too closely. Not like a man assessing a threat, but like he was trying to understand a puzzle he didn't remember picking up. Who was he? Lorenzo asked. The question hit harder than she expected. Her brother's face flashed in her mind. His last smile, that stupid chipped necklace he always wore, before she buried it again. Someone I owed, she said. Her debt wasn't small. And wasn't new. Lorenzo leaned back slightly, but the tension in his posture didn't ease. He followed you into my alley. The alley. Ownership woven into every syllable. A dangerous reminder. She looked down. I didn't mean to run there. You shouldn't have, he said quietly. Not a threat. A warning. A blind spot forming between them. His belief that he could control what touched his world. Her belief that she could stay hidden in it. The cloth in her hand darkened. A soft symbol, blood turning the fabric heavy. His jaw tightened again. The second time she'd seen it. The gesture felt like a sound cue, an unspoken signal of concern he refused to voice. "Does it hurt?" he asked. She almost laughed. "Everything hurts." Was not silence, pressure. She felt him shift closer by inches, not enough to touch her, but enough to change the air. "You'll stay at my penthouse tonight," he said. Her heart kicked. Why? Beat. Breath. Because whoever he is, he won't be the last. A chill ran through her. The car slowed. His driver glanced at the mirror, uneasy. Outside, a second car had begun trailing them. Hint. Threat. Disturbance. Fake safety already cracking. The elevator ride to his penthouse was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind, the charged kind, thick with everything unsaid. She stood on the far side of the mirrored interior, clutching the blood-stained cloth, watching Lorenzo's reflection instead of his face. He didn't look at her, but his posture gave him away. Shoulders tight, hand resting near the inside of his jacket. Prepared. Agitated. Protective, though he'd never admit it. A soft click echoed as the elevator passed another floor. The sound motif returning like a pulse of distant danger. Her breath stuttered. He noticed. "You're afraid," he said quietly. It wasn't a question. It wasn't judgment. Just truth. Her fingers curled tighter around the cloth. "I have reasons." His jaw tightened, that tell the one she was learning to read. "Whoever chased you, he's connected, isn't he?" She didn't answer. Silence pressed in, demanding something she didn't want to give. But fear has a way of loosening what should stay hidden. "My brother owed money," she said. "After he died, it became mine." His head turned sharply. "Died how?" There it was, the first confession she never intended to say aloud. She swallowed. Wrong place. Wrong people. His gaze darkened, not cruel but calculating. A man cataloging a threat he'd like to remove with his own hands. Her grief wasn't healed, it was still bleeding. "Debt collectors don't chase ghosts alone," he murmured. "Someone sent him. Someone will send more." She knew. She'd lived it. But hearing him say it made the truth colder. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. His penthouse wasn't extravagant like legends claimed. It was sharp, minimalist, and spotless, like he lived in straight lines and clean exits. No photos. No warmth. No softness at all. He gestured for her to sit on the couch. He didn't. Distance still lingered. He exhaled once, frustration slipping through the cracks. The first clear sign of his flaw. Control issues tightening whenever she resisted. Lorenzo approached, slow enough not to frighten her. "You're injured. Sit." She hesitated again, then obeyed. Not because he ordered it. Because she was tired of bleeding on her feet. He knelt in front of her and lifted the cloth gently from her ribs. His fingers didn't touch her, but the closeness sent a ripple through her chest. Intimacy by proximity. "This isn't a small wound," he said. "I've had worse." "That," he murmured, "should never be true for someone your age." Her breath hitched. Emotional risk. He cared. More than he wanted to. A sudden vibration broke the moment. His phone buzzing once on the table. Threat reminder. He didn't look at it. His attention stayed on her, voice low. "You can stay here as long as you need." She froze. Not yes, not no. Just the moment before something shifts. She let him clean the wound. Not because she trusted him, but because she didn't have the strength to stop him. Lorenzo's movements were precise, controlled, almost careful. The faint sting of antiseptic burned through her ribs as he dabbed the gash, but he didn't look away from what he was doing. His silence should have soothed her. Instead, it felt like pressure building in a locked room. "You'll need stitches," he said. "I don't have insurance." His hand stilled. A crack in the quiet, sharp, brittle. I didn't ask about insurance, he replied. False reassurance. Soft, almost gentle. But his tone had weight, and she felt it before she understood it, the moment before something breaks. As he reached for the next gauze pad, something slipped from her jacket pocket and hit the hardwood floor with a light clink. A symbol darkened. Her brother's chipped necklace, the one piece of him she still carried. Lorenzo's eyes dropped to it, and something inside the air snapped. He picked it up, turning the broken charm between his fingers. This is important to you. Give it back, she said too quickly. The speed of her reaction, her breath hitching, her trembling hands. Her grief wasn't distant. It lived under her skin. Lorenzo handed it back, but slowly, watching her the way a man watches a wound he wants to understand but can't touch. She closed her fist around the necklace, knuckles whitening. It's nothing. That, he said quietly, is a lie. Silence. Heavy. Inescapable. He stood, tension sharpening every line of his body. If someone is threatening you because of your brother, drop it, she snapped. His jaw tightened, protector flaw, control flaring. You're in my home. I need to know if you're bringing more danger to my door. Her pulse stuttered. Would it matter? Yes. His voice dropped. It would. Her breath caught at the sincerity, the kind meant to reassure. But reassurance twisted painfully when the elevator chimed again. Soft sound. Threat in disguise. His driver's voice echoed faint behind the door. Sir, there's movement outside the building. Same car from earlier. Circling twice. Cold dread pooled through her. Lorenzo's expression hardened instantly. Get inside the inner suite, he ordered. Now. The warmth from moments ago vanished. Replaced by steel. By distance. By pain. You think I'm a liability, she whispered. He looked at her, really looked, and didn't deny it. Stillness fell between them. Fracture. A wound. And the beginning of something neither could stop. She didn't go to the inner suite. Not right away. She stood in the doorway, necklace still clutched in her fist, watching Lorenzo as he issued orders into his phone. Low, clipped, dangerous. Every word sounded like a blade being sharpened. Lock the lower garage. No one in or out until I say. Control. His flaw. Burning hot under pressure. He ended the call and turned toward her. I told you to move. Something inside her pushed back. Her first active choice. No, she said. The single syllable sliced through the room. His posture stiffened, surprise breaking through his otherwise unreadable face. No, he repeated. I'm not hiding in a room like some problem you need to contain. His eyes narrowed. If I wanted to contain you, you wouldn't be standing there. She flinched, not because he sounded cruel, but because it was true. That car outside, she said, voice shaking but steady enough. They're here because of me. You should let me go. He stepped closer. I'm not letting you walk into danger. You don't get to decide that. Silence hit them like a collision. Intimate. Inevitable. Then he exhaled sharply and turned away, pacing once, losing control in a way she hadn't seen before. You don't understand, he said. People don't chase debts this hard unless the person owes the wrong men. Or unless the debt is worth more dead than alive. Her breath hitched. Motive collision because she understood more than he did. Her brother had died for that debt. She wasn't just running from debt collectors. She was running toward the truth. She swallowed. My brother got caught in something he didn't deserve. Lorenzo froze. The shift was immediate, like she'd triggered something locked behind his ribs. What happened to him, he asked. She hesitated. Her chest tightened. Then, the second confession found her before she could stop it. He was killed, she whispered. No one told me why. No one told me who. Lorenzo's face changed. Not softened. Not hardened. Just shifted. Like a door inside him had opened an inch. My code is simple, he said, voice low. No one dies unless they choose the war. Her stomach twisted. My brother didn't choose anything. He didn't answer. The silence after his code line stretched, waited, dangerous. Finally he said, "Then whoever did it broke mine." The words lodged somewhere deep in her chest. Promise. Or a threat. She couldn't tell. Outside, headlights swept across the penthouse windows. Antagonist reminder, flashing like a warning. Lorenzo stepped closer. Just enough for the air between them to thicken. "You're staying," he said. It wasn't an order. Not this time. It sounded like surrender wrapped in steel. She didn't move. Didn't answer. An unresolved gesture hung between them. Her fist loosening around the necklace. His breath slowing for the first time. Intimate silence. Unfinished. Unfixable. Pulling them forward. Lorenzo didn't move for a long moment after she said she was staying. It wasn't hesitation. It was calculation, the kind that rearranged a room, a threat, and a life in seconds. "Come with me," he said quietly. Not an order this time. A directive wrapped in something gentler. She followed him down the hallway, past the dim glass panels and steel edges of his penthouse, until they stepped into a private office. Dark wood. One wall lined with locked drawers. A safe embedded into the floor. He keyed in a code. The ticking clock began. Soft beeps, one after another. Inside the safe lay a stack of files. He pulled one out. A slim folder with a red mark along the spine. He set it on the desk. "Recognize this?" he asked. She frowned. "I've never seen it." "You should have." He opened it, and her lungs forgot how to work. Her brother's face stared back from a grainy photo. Alive. Laughing. Younger than she remembered him at the end. Her hand lifted without meaning to. Fingers hovering just above the page. Where did you get this?" Lorenzo watched her closely. His protector flaw straining against the truth he was about to reveal. "My men recorded every witness who crossed paths with a man caught in a debt dispute last year." Her breath stuttered. "He didn't have a dispute. He just..." Lorenzo placed a second paper beside the photograph. "Police report." "No, not police. Internal. Unofficial. Unmarked. A memory reversal." "He wasn't just in the wrong place," Lorenzo said quietly. "He was following someone." Her heart hammered. That's not true. But something inside her, something fragile, something ignored, shifted painfully. Blind spot breaking. Lorenzo tapped a line on the page. Subject believed brother's death connected to De Vero syndicate. Began seeking answers. Her pulse froze. "He was looking for you." "No," Lorenzo's voice softened, unexpectedly gentle. "He was following a man who worked for the syndicate. A man known for turning debts into leverage." Her stomach twisted. "A collector." Lorenzo nodded. "One who went rogue." The truth cracked open. Quiet, heavy, irreversible. Her brother hadn't wandered into danger. He had walked toward it, trying to protect her. Her guilt wasn't misplaced. It was rooted in something real. The room fell silent. Long, breathless, suffocating. Lorenzo closed the file. "The men outside your building tonight. Same pattern. Same signature. They're searching for something he left unfinished." Deadline. A threat escalating. The ticking clock loud in her ears now. She swallowed. "And you think that something is me?" His eyes softened, not warm but anchored. "No. I think it's whoever killed him." The truth settled, soft, sharp, reshaping the air around them. She didn't step back. He didn't step forward. But something between them changed. Quietly. Irreversibly. She didn't realize she was shaking until Lorenzo closed the file and her knees nearly buckled. He caught her before she hit the floor. Not with force. With steadiness. A grip warm at her elbows, grounding her without tightening, guiding her toward the nearest chair. "Sit," he murmured. She did because her body forgot how to stand. The photo of her brother still burned behind her eyes. Alive. Laughing. Looking for danger he shouldn't have gone near. Because of her. Her breath fractured. Once. Then it broke entirely. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know he was trying to protect me." Lorenzo's expression shifted, the hardest edges softening, the control he always wore like armor cracking in places he didn't try to hide. "You couldn't have known. That doesn't change anything." Her voice splintered. If I hadn't taken out that loan, he wouldn't have." Her throat locked. The confession ripped out anyway. The third confession. The deepest. "It's my fault he's dead." Lorenzo didn't move at first. Then he knelt, again without touching her, placing himself at her level like the ground between them mattered for once. His flaw, control, started to soften at the edges. "You don't get to carry that alone," he said quietly. She shook her head, tears blurring everything. "I do. I have to." "No," his voice firmed. "My world is built on choices. He made his. You made yours. His death is the fault of the man who took him from you. No one else." Her breath stilled. The emotional motif hit. Her heartbeat catching, sharp and painful. Lorenzo noticed. He always noticed. He reached out, slowly, letting her see the motion, letting her refuse if she wanted. She didn't refuse. His hand brushed the necklace still clutched in her palm. Broken, jagged, the core symbol that carried her grief. He closed her fingers around it gently. "You don't lose him by letting someone help you," he said. The symbol softened. Not fixed. Not whole. But held. A tear slid down her cheek. He didn't wipe it away, but his eyes followed its path like it mattered more than anything he'd handled tonight. He wasn't numb. He wasn't cold. He chose to be until now. Her breath trembled. "Why are you doing this?" He hesitated, a rare, fragile break in the man who never stalled. "Because I know what it is to lose someone and carry the wrong guilt for too long." A truth he hadn't meant to reveal. A truth that changed something between them. The moment held, quiet, raw, unguarded. He didn't move away. She didn't either. A soft held silence fell. Not distance, but the first fragile thread of safety. For the first time all night, the penthouse felt still. Not silent still. The kind of quiet that settles after something breaks open and refuses to go back the way it was. She sat curled on the edge of the couch, the softened necklace lying against her palm, its cracked charm no longer cutting her skin. Her breathing had evened out, though every now and then a tremor slipped through. Lorenzo noticed each one. He didn't crowd her. Didn't stand guard over her. He simply stepped into the kitchen and returned with a glass of water, placing it on the table within reach. Small act of care. Gentle. Unassuming. "Drink when you can," he said softly. His voice, usually edged in command, held warmth now. Quiet. Grounding. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees, posture lowered in a way that felt like a choice. Surrendering control without saying the words. She looked at him, eyes rimmed red. "You didn't have to stay." "I did." No hesitation. Another micro-reveal, not about her, but about him. Lorenzo De Vero didn't leave people when they were breaking. Even if he didn't understand why he stayed. Her fingers brushed the necklace unconsciously. This time, it didn't feel like a weight dragging her under. It felt like a reminder that she wasn't carrying it alone anymore. The symbol softened again, quiet, subtle. Lorenzo's gaze followed the motion. "He mattered to you." "He was all I had left." Lorenzo nodded slowly, absorbing the truth without pushing it. "Then I'll help you finish what he started." Her breath hitched. "You don't even know what that is yet." "I know enough." His tone was gentle but certain. "Someone killed him. Someone is circling back now. That makes both of us involved." She swallowed. "Why would you take this on?" His eyes met hers, steady, dark, vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen. "Because no one should be hunted alone." Something warm settled in her chest. Steady, dangerous, new. A careful acceptance she didn't mean to feel. She shifted slightly closer without realizing it, pulled forward by something unspoken. He noticed that too. But instead of retreating, he softened. You should rest, he said. I can't. Her voice was barely a whisper. He leaned forward. Then breathe. With me. The words struck something inside her. Not loud, not dramatic. Just real. He inhaled slowly, waiting until she matched him, breath for breath. Calm. Quiet. Fragile. Safe enough for now. Outside, a distant car engine hummed along the street below, a low reminder the world hadn't forgotten them. But inside the penthouse, the storm had passed. For the moment, she didn't step away. Neither did he. A soft-held silence settled between them, not empty, but full of everything neither dared name. Morning came gently. The first light brushed across the penthouse floor, softening the hard edges of steel and glass. She sat at the window, knees pulled to her chest, the cracked necklace hanging loosely from her fingers. For once, the charm didn't feel like a blade. Just a memory. Just a truth she no longer had to hide. Behind her, Lorenzo approached quietly, not wanting to startle her, not wanting to intrude. The restraint alone told her everything she needed to know. I didn't wake you, did I? She asked softly. No, his voice carried a calm she hadn't heard before. You just moved. A mirror line, because he had said the same thing when she trembled in the elevator, but this time, the fear was gone. Her breath steadied. It feels different today. He came to stand beside her, close enough that she could sense his warmth but not close enough to touch her. Different how? She hesitated, then let the truth unfurl. The weight isn't as heavy, she whispered. I thought if I stopped grieving him so hard, it meant I was letting him go. Lorenzo's eyes softened. Grief doesn't measure love. Her throat tightened. Then what does? She asked. He exhaled slowly, gaze drifting over the city, the same city that had taken so much from both of them. Choice, he said. What we do with the pain. Who we become because of it. A moral truth laid bare. She stared at her reflection in the window. Tired, hurting, but somehow steadier. Then I want to choose something else now. Not just fear. Not just running. Her voice trembled, but it didn't break. The fourth confession, quiet, brave, real. I want to keep living. For him. For me. Lorenzo didn't answer right away. The emotional motif, the tightening of her breath, fluttered once, and faded. No spite. No panic. Just acceptance. You already are, he murmured. She looked at him, really looked, and something settled inside her. Not closure but direction. As if her heart understood what her mind had been resisting. That she was no longer alone in this fight. That she wasn't carrying the truth by herself anymore. Outside, a distant siren echoed. A low reminder that danger still lived out there, circling. But it didn't send her pulse racing this time. Instead, she said, whatever happens next, I won't run from it. Lorenzo turned toward her fully. His expression unreadable but softer than any she'd seen. Then neither will I. A quiet shift passed between them. Not a promise, not yet, but something close. Something chosen. She let out a slow breath. He mirrored it. Acceptance. Soft and steady. What do we do now? She asked. A universal question. One every heart eventually asks when standing on the edge of something new. The city glowed under the early evening light, the kind that softened everything it touched. She stood on the penthouse balcony, fingers lightly curled around the railing, breathing in air that didn't feel heavy anymore. Behind her, she sensed him before she heard him. Lorenzo moved quietly, not out of secrecy but out of respect. He stepped beside her without crowding her space, the distance between them no longer a wall, just a breath. You're up early, he said gently. I didn't sleep much. Nightmares. She shook her head. No, just thinking. He didn't push. He didn't need to. Her fingers drifted down to the necklace at her throat, the cracked charm hanging from a new, sturdier chain. A soft symbol transformed one final time. You fixed it, she asked softly. I reinforced it, he said. The break stays. It's part of it now. Part of her. Part of everything she survived. She exhaled slowly, the sound almost a sigh. Thank you. Lorenzo angled his body slightly toward her. The lines of tension that once defined him now eased. It matters to you. That's enough reason. For a moment, the air held warm silence. Not the tense kind they once lived in, but something quieter. Something like belonging. She looked out over the skyline. Do you think it's really over? The men outside, the threats. He didn't lie. He never had. It's not over, he said. But it's shifting. A subtle antagonist reminder. Soft, distant. Whoever killed your brother will surface. People like that always do. The words should have scared her. Strangely, they didn't. Then we'll face it, she said. The first time she'd said it aloud. The acceptance of something neither of them had dared name. Lorenzo's gaze softened. You won't face anything alone again. Her chest tightened, not painfully this time, just full. She turned toward him and he stepped closer, slow, deliberate, giving her space to pull back if she wanted. He didn't touch her, but his presence wrapped around her like steady warmth. Whatever comes next, he said quietly, you choose the path. I'll walk it with you. Quiet emotional promise. Simple. Unadorned. True. She breathed in once, deep and steady. Her final breath line drifted into the fading light. Then I'm ready. And for the first time since her brother died. She meant it.